Good afternoon, Mr. Ronald. How are you today? Good, good. So, can you tell me what brings you here today, Mr. Ronald? Doctor, I came here because I'm desperate for your help right now. I've been developing over the past few months these painful blisters and rashes all over my body, all over my skin. They're everywhere. Look at my skin right now. Look how red and deformed it's becoming. I'm getting very, very desperate. I go into the mall and people think I'm a monster. Nobody wants to attend me, and anywhere I go, it seems like people hate me. I need your help, please. I need you to make my skin great again, doctor, please. Yeah, that doesn't look so good. You seem to have some swelling in your face, some redness. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to grab a sample of that and then bring it to the lab for some testing. I have an idea of what it is, but I need to confirm it. So just wait 1 second for me, Mr. Ronald, and I'll be right back. Oh, Mr. Ronald, sorry to interrupt. I also need your pet Larry to do some additional testing along with your testing, okay? Thank you, doctor, thank you. I don't know why you think that is my pet Larry, that my beloved Larry is the one causing this disease. But I can assure you that this is not true. You know what? I blame my wife. My wife is the reason for all my problems. She gave me this. She gave me this. I know she did. You know what, doctor? I'm going to build a great big room in my house. A great big room that's going to be bigger and better than all the rooms. So just wait 1 second for me, Mr. Ronald, and I'll be right back. Oh, thank you for waiting. Thank you for waiting. I don't know how to tell you this, Mr. Ronald, but the results in the back end looks like you have Hansen's disease, also known as leprosy. The reason that you got this is because you contracted a bacterium known as Mycobacterium leprae, rarely closely related to the more common Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And if you know anything about Mycobacterium, you know that they are very aggressive diseases and very hard to treat diseases due to its cell wall qualities. Really sorry to tell you this. The Mycobacterium leprae is actually split into 5 phylogenetic groups, depending actually on the region where it's from, and I did a little extra testing on you, and it says that you have South American leprosy. I'm really puzzled as to how this might have happened, but hold on. I know some people like visuals better. Here's actually the actual sample of your Mycobacterium leprae that I did. So you can see it's purple because I gram stained it, and it's gram positive. Mycobacterium are rod, spiral shape, and like to hang out in clusters, sort of bacillus shaped, as they will call it. And as you can see, this has Mycobacterium leprae written all over it. If it really makes you feel better, Mr. Ronald, I can do actually one more exam on you if you want, and this will confirm if you actually have it or not. That sound good? Okay, Mr. Ronald, well, I'll be right back and we're gonna go do this test on you, okay? Thank you. Alright, Mr. Ronald, we're going to do a quick test to confirm that you have leprosy. Is that okay? Okay. Breathe in, breathe in. Yeah, you have leprosy, I'm sorry.
History book said leprosy was a myth.
Actually, the myth that you heard is true. Mycobacterium leprae dates back as far as 600 BC, as seen in Egyptian scrolls. And throughout history, this was thought to be a punishment from God, as stated in the Bible. People assumed that this was a genetically inherited disease because back then they didn't have the knowledge that we do now about infectious disease. The first person who discovered this was back in 1873, Dr. Gerard Hansen, which is actually what the disease is named after, Hansen's disease, was examining patients who were contracted with Mycobacterium leprae, just like yourself, Mr. Ronald. and he hypothesized and he found that the same bacterium species was the same in all his patients. So he assumed that this was the cause of an infectious disease. At the time, he was actually ridiculed by his colleagues and other physicians because they did not believe that you could get this disease through pathogens. But later on, he insisted, and we found out that it was actually true, that it was an infectious disease that was causing Mycobacterium leprae. He actually spent a lot of his time at the end helping prevent the disease by working in hospitals and isolating patients, and reduced greatly the cases of Mycobacterium leprae.
Why me?
Mr. Ronald, so you asked why you got this disease and why it took so long. I have a couple explanations for you. Mycobacterium leprae actually has a very slow life cycle and replicates very, very slow. The double time is about 14 days, which is due to their thick lipid walls, which causes a slow reception of nutrients. And actually, this is the longest doubling time of all bacteria. And that might have been a reason that it took you so long to find out. A little bit about the process that goes on in the cells is first, the bacteria bind to the cell surface, usually Schwann cells. Second, the pathogen goes inside the cell by phagocytosis and replicates inside of the cell by inhibiting phagosome-lysome interactions. And if it survives long enough, it replicates and leaves the cell, which is what's going on with you and your face. These Mycobacterium leprae actually prefer cool tissues of the skin. The optimal tissue of Mycobacterium leprae is about 25 to 33 degrees Celsius, which explains why it affects outer skin areas, such as your face, rather than internal organs, which have a much higher temperature. There's actually two types of tuberculosis that you can have. You can have M. tuberculase, which is characterized by several rashes throughout the skin, muscle weakness, numbness, different areas of your body, which, according to what I saw, it looks like it's what you had. But I need you to follow your treatments once I get them ready, because if you don't follow the treatments, you can develop M. leprotemus, which is a more severe form of leprosy that is very uncontrollable and can cause nerve damage, internal organ damage, and possibly death. Now, we don't want that, do we, mister? Okay. And due to the nature of this disease, if you contract this, you could have treatments for the rest of your life. And actually, we tested your wife, Mr. Ronald, and it seems she is with 95% of the population which is immune to leprosy, which means that she did not give it to you, so you do not have to build that great big room. I'm sorry. I actually think it's because of the armadillo that you have, because armadillos are common carriers of leprosy because they are considered the Goldilocks of the disease. What do I mean by that? I mean that their skin is not too hot, not too cold, perfect for leprosy to grow in, and they're very common carriers. And you told me you have a South American armadillo, and this is South American Mycobacterium leprae that I found in you, and they match with the armadillo, so there might be a chance that you have to get rid of him. So I'm very sorry. I'm very, very sorry.
I need you to kill this bacteria. And I need you to kill him now.
Mr. Ronald, more than anyone, I would love to kill this bacteria. But there's actually several things that this bacteria has evolved that makes it very hard for us to treat right away. It actually uses the host glucose, and through glycolysis, it oxidizes that glucose to pyruvate through EMP pathways. The cell also uses the Krebs cycle to oxidize acetyl coenzyme A and convert that into ATP for energy. So this is the reason that it keeps invading your skin. It also has a very complex lipid metabolism, which is very complicated, and it is known to induce foamy macrophages, which produce lipid droplets and provide a source of fatty acids of the microbacterium to use. The microbacterium can use these fatty acids for carbon sources, or they can actually use these oxidized lipid to inhibit several immune responses, which makes this disease Very, very, very hard to treat. Along with this complicated metabolism that it displays, it also has several virulence factors and proteins that contribute to the difficulty of treating this disease. For example, it has ESX1 secretion system, which is very important in the translocation of the mycobacteria to the cytosol. This is a very important virulence factor that helps extracellular proteins move across the tough hydrophobic wall, such as ESPV, which is a protein that inhibits autophagosomes from even forming at all. Autophagosomes are very important for cell survival because they actually degrade damaged organelles, such as mycobacterium infected cell. So without anything to kill the mycobacterium infected cells, it has an extra defense. It also has NRAMP proteins, which transport iron to the pathogen to help it acquire extra nutrients. Iron is a very important element that allows microorganisms to grow and replicate, and it also serves for a defense mechanism for the pathogen, which is no good for you, Mr. Ronald. Mycobacterial also have a great thick cell wall. Now I know you like great walls, Mr. Ronald, but this is not the wall that you like. This wall has 3 different elements. It has mycolic acids, which are long chains of fatty acids, and it has a robonogalactin, also in the cell wall, and common in many bacteria, peptidoglycan. All 3 of these together, they form a great, very thick wall, which is very, very immune to many antibiotic treatments that we use. I'd say the biggest contributing factor to this is the mycolic acids, because the mycolic acids which go on the outside are very hydrophobic and very tough, which help maintain the cell's rigid shape and help protect the cell against many antibiotic treatments. And for these reasons, Ronald, we're going to have to find a great solution to make your skin great again. Alright, Mr. Ronald, right here I have for you a combination of antibiotics, actually, rifampicin, ofloxacin, and microcycline, which is actually the common antibiotic given for people with your condition. You're actually going to need to take these for the next 12 months religiously, you promise? Okay, because we don't want any bacterial resistance forming after this, right? Right. So, I know you may be worried about some of the side effects, but they're not bad. They include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and loss of appetite, and possibly death. But that's okay. You also may develop problems such as an allergic reaction, so if you experience that, just give me a call. Alright? As far as the price goes, this medicine is about $120 a month. Are you okay with that price? Yeah, of course. Well, do you have any more questions, Mr. Ronald?
No, doctor. Thank you, doctor. You're the best, because I only go to the best.
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Ronald. Well, I guess I'll be seeing you in a follow-up visit. I'll have you scheduled for next month. Thank you for coming here, Mr. Ronald. Yeah, maybe we'll hold a handshaking for another months, right? That's a good idea. Alright, Mr. Ronald. You have a great day. Mr. Ronald. I know I'm back. Sorry. I actually forgot. I left a very big part of this thing out. Yeah, I just graduated medical school a couple of days ago, so patience with me. Thank you for your
You're the best.
Thanks, Ronald.
I know.
So I just wanted to really...
I only deal with the best.
I know. So, I just wanted to summarize this Mycobacterium leprae for you so you would really get to know what's really important about this disease. And it's a very ancient disease, as I already told you earlier. And yeah, still there are 250,000 new cases every day. And 2 to 3 million people worldwide today are disabled due to Mycobacterium leprosy. And we don't want that to happen to you, right? You know, thankfully, many of these countries are outside of the U.S., but I hope one day, with knowledge and education, nowhere in the world we can have people suffering from Mycobacterium leprosy.
That would be great.
That will be great. Thank you, Mr. Ronald. I'll see you
Thank
next
I will
month.
take the paper.
I'll see you next month.
The paper.
And, oh, I just graduated medical school. Here's your paper.
That's okay because I know you're the best.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.